primegov.com.
It's okc.primegov.com/login.
Okay. I just gotta remember my password now.
JB?
We're not muted, are we? No, we shouldn't.
Shay's in PrimeGov.
Thank you.
Shay, have you logged all the way into the meeting? We're still not showing you in the meeting yet.
Nope. Meetings and committees, live meeting.
Once you hit live meeting, you should need to enter in your credentials again.
Yep.
And then after that, you'll be able to see your meeting. You'll single click on that meeting and then they will be able to see you as well.
Done.
Mr. Shulin, I've seen you try and speak a couple of times. You're muted. Is there anything I can do to help you? I'm sorry, you're still muted.
Is that better? Am I unmuted now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I'm trying to log into a PrimeGov. Yeah,
Okay.
I've got it loaded, but let me see. Remind me. Sorry. Boards, trusts, and commissions. Let's see.
So have you logged in already to PrimeGov?
Well, I loaded it, but I don't see an opportunity. And I did the login, but no, I'm not logged in yet. That doesn't look like.
Okay, what are you seeing?
I see the front page for the City of Oklahoma City PrimeGov.
Okay. Does it look like it has some little boxes on it, or
No.
or does it look like a city page?
It's more of a city page. Across the top says boards, trusts, and commissions. Maybe I went too far in. I should have backed out. And it's for the City of Oklahoma City.
Okay. Probably the easiest way to get to where we need to be is for you in your browser window at the very top.
Yes.
The address bar. Go ahead and just retype okc.primegov.com.
Okay.
And see where it'll take you.
Don't forget the /login.
I think that's been disabled.
Oh, okay. Okay. See primegov.com. Then you say /login.
/login.
/. And it does have some boxes now. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you see your boxes. So at the top, you should see where it says meetings and committees.
No, I don't see that. It says quick search, search and find now, more information, find quickly, multiple search. Oklahoma City good results, City of Oklahoma City government.
And you entered in okc.primegov.com/login.
Maybe I did the / the wrong way.
Okay, if you'll just change your /.
Okay. /. I do get a log into account. Oh, here we go. Here now I see our agenda.
Actually, that is on your Zoom screen that you're seeing the agenda. If you'll hit escape, it will quit taking over your whole screen.
Okay.
And you should be able to find your Chrome browser window again.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I'll have to go back to my Chrome browsers at the bottom.
Okay, if
I
you'll just
probably
go
use-
ahead. Were you using Chrome or were
Yeah,
you using
I
Safari?
didn't last time, but I know I did once before, but the last time I was able to use it without it, and I thought it was easier than going back and forth between the two. But that's okay. I can do. I've got it here.
Okay,
It does pop up. Okay. / There we go. Now I gotta do my email address.
Amy, this is Shay speaking real quick. I'm in PrimeGov through Internet Explorer. Is that a problem?
yes, sir. If you could go ahead and log in through Chrome. Internet Explorer sometimes has some issues with it and it might not display your voting options.
Okay.
Okay,
Thanks.
Bird.
Mr. Shulin, were you able to get in?
Yes, but it wanted me to send in my password. I don't remember my password, so I had to reset it. I'm sorry. Mm.
No gloves.
Yeah, you don't need them. They're docile. The workers are docile.
Mr. Schuman, this is Alan Kelly in IT. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Good. After you reset your password, I would suggest you write it down because you will always need that password for PrimeGov, and that can just save you a step in the future.
Okay. I will do that. Sorry, I should have last time. It didn't.
That's all right. I'm just
I do a real easy
just
one.
a suggestion.
So I can remember it, but
Taking a month off screwed you up, JB.
I know, darn it. I got this right now.
Does anybody else need assistance while Amy is helping him?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can now.
My name is Joe Roberts. I'm trying to log into this meeting.
Are you a voting member?
No, are we just doing voting members right now?
Yes, just the voting members.
Understood. Thank you.
You bet.
Mr. Shulin, did you receive your
I
new
didn't.
password?
Yes, I did. And I'm logged into the Google. Now I got to get back to, I can see it says Zoom, but how do I find, I can't see you guys. Can you see me?
We can still see you. It's just minimized right now. Once we get you into PrimeGov, I can show you how to maximize that.
Okay, I'm in PrimeGov. I just can't, I can't see you guys. It just says Zoom. I have a big blue Zoom.
Okay, so in PrimeGov, do you have your Chrome window open?
Oh, I hope I do. I did. I went into, oh, maybe I'm over in, no, it says Safari. Darn, I'm in Safari. I'm sorry.
Safari's fine. If you can want to do it in Safari, it works fine.
It is there.
Either
It is
Chrome
Safari.
or Safari.
Okay, I can see you in Safari now, but I don't see the meeting, our Zoom meeting. Do I?
Okay, have you been able to get into the PrimeGov where you
Yes.
click meetings and committees?
Yeah, yes. And I see our agenda there and stuff.
Okay, Mickey, can you see him in PrimeGov?
Oh, wait, let's see. I got to click. I'm sorry, I didn't click Traffic Commission.
Okay.
There we go. Now I did. Now I've got it.
Okay, so at the bottom of your screen, you should be able to see a little movie projector type icon. It's blue with a white little icon on it, and it says Zoom on it.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so if you click on that, you should be able to. It'll show a.
Come here, I lost where I was at.
Mr. Shulin,
Yes.
it should show
I gotta do
who's
this again?
speaking.
Oh, no. How did?
There should be a little green arrow that's inside of a box. If you click that box, it makes it large again.
It says Zoom. Hey there, I'm both Zoom virtual assistant. I operate best on Ask Short Direct. How can I help us see? That doesn't seem to be doing it, does it? I'm sorry.
Did you click the icon at the bottom, the little blue with the
It has
camera?
It doesn't. I don't know if it's a camera. I have a blue little dot, and it looks like it's a text message or something though, instead of a camera.
No, it would actually be a blue one with a camera icon, like a video camera icon in it, and it should be in your bottom tray.
In the bottom tray. Oh.
The bottom tray of all of your different icons.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I see it. I see it.
Okay. If you click that.
Can you see me now? I can see it now.
Okay, good deal.
I'm so
It just
sorry.
that's okay. It just got put in the background of your Chrome. So what you're going to want to do is be able to go back and forth between your Chrome and your Zoom, because remember in Chrome, not Chrome,
Okay.
in Safari.
I'm in Safari, right?
Yes, your Safari is where you're going to vote. Just
Right.
remember that you're going to vote there, and then in order to see the presentations and see other individuals, you're going to use the Zoom, which is that blue icon with the video camera in it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Okay. I think so. I see you all, and
perfect.
I see the agenda.
But in your Safari, you can see the agenda as well.
Yes, and then I see Commissioner Russell across the top, and I see
Okay.
Commissioner Miller, and
Okay. I think has everyone else gotten into PrimeGov?
Yes.
Okay. Stuart, I think whenever you guys are ready to start.
Hey, I'm Walter Kula. I'm the chairman of the Traffic and Transportation Commission. This is a video conference, Traffic and Transportation Commission meeting for 17 August 2020. Thanks for joining us at the Oklahoma City Traffic and Transportation Commission's video conference meeting. We have a few announcements to make regarding the virtual meeting. If the video conference is disconnected at any time during the meeting will be stopped and reconvened once the audio connection is restored. If connections are unable to be restored within 30 minutes, items remaining for consideration will be continued to the Commission's next regular scheduled meeting, which will be on 21 September, 1:30 p.m. via teleconference. The agendas for today's meeting is located on okc.gov. Anyone wishing to speak about an agenda item, public hearing, or to speak under citizens to be heard, please call 405-297-2531 or email chastity.walsh@okc.gov. Speakers will be allowed 5 minutes to comment. I ask that all participants, except the commission members, keep their phones on mute until they are recognized to speak. Commissioners will be allowed to ask questions or comment at any time during the meeting. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order and have a roll call. We'll start with Commissioner Varnell.
Here.
Okay, Commissioner Littlefield.
Present.
Commissioner Russell.
Here.
Commissioner Hale. Commissioner Hale is not available. Commissioner Schuline.
here.
Commissioner Miller.
Here.
Commissioner George. Commissioner George is not available. And Commissioner Cornett.
Here.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so we do have a quorum. We'll go to item 2, approval of the minutes of the June 15, 2020 meeting of the Traffic and Transportation Commission. And just as a note, the meeting scheduled for July 20th, 2020 was previously canceled. Can I have a motion concerning item 2, which is the minutes?
Motion to approve from Varnell.
Okay, we have a motion to approve from Commissioner Varnell.
Second.
Can I have a second, please? Can
Second.
I have a second?
Commissioners, give
concerning-
us just a second here. We have a technical issue.
Okay, no problem. Because what'll happen if we recall, it'll pop up and show a place to click. So we're going to get there in a second. There it is. Here we go. And now we're waiting for someone to go ahead and second. Okay, ma'am. Okay, do we have any, so we have a motion to approve the minutes by Commissioner Varnell, seconded by Commissioner Cornett. Do we have any talk on this item? Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes from Commissioner Varnell, seconded by Commissioner Cornett. And here we go. Can we have your votes, please?
So everybody should have voting buttons now. If you don't see your buttons, let us know.
I do not.
Oh, here we go. Let's see.
I don't have
Make
one.
sure to go to your either Chrome window or Safari window to see your voting options.
Darn.
So, Mr. Miller, were you using 2 devices?
No, I'm just using one.
Okay.
I see the motion in the agenda item.
I do too, but I don't see
All right,
it.
so press escape on your keyboard and then go over to your either Chrome or Safari button or icon.
No,
Nope.
Didn't happen.
Nope. No
Didn't-
button.
no button.
Okay, we can go ahead and take voice vote for those commissioners then. Commissioner Littlefield, how do you vote?
I approve.
Okay, Commissioner Hale, how do you vote?
Hale is not here.
He was actually, okay, Commissioner Shulin
Aye.
and Commissioner Miller.
Aye.
Okay. And then Jill, if you'll go ahead and hit close vote, it should display the result. No, don't. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
There we go. There,
Okay, so it popped up and it showed it was a 7 all in favor. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and move on to the item report license and taxi record service that will be presented in October. So we'll have an update on that. We do not have any items in the consent docket, item 4. So we're moving on now to item 5. 5A, Scott Miller. To consider a request for all-way stock control at Cloverdale Way and Northwest 80th Street and Crestron Drive and Northwest 80th Street. Right now, oh, here we go. We do have 2 people to speak on it. And so Scott Hill, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I got you loud and clear. You got up to 5 minutes, sir.
Hello, my name is Scott Hill at 8100 Crestron Drive, phone number 405-740-3349. And are we going to specifically discuss Cloverdale now or Cloverdale and in conjunction with Crestron Drive?
Let's do both of them.
Okay. I will discuss Crestron Drive. Crestron Drive is the primary point of entry and is a quarter-mile straightaway that lends to a fast rate of speed for those wanting to access the northern parts of the neighborhood, the adjacent Crestone Villas gated community, and those coming from the north wanting to access Wilshire. 80th Street is the center point of that quarter mile, intersecting Cloverdale Way and Crestone Drive. And a stop sign to implement a stop control for the sake of safety is an easy and viable option. As noted in the petition, 80th and Crestone Drive is a primary bus stop for Yukon Public Schools. Future development will connect to adjacent neighborhoods, giving relief access to Britton and County Line. Residents of the adjacent neighborhoods will be able to use Crestone Drive as an easy access road to the turnpike from Wilshire. Prior to my petition, I contacted OKCPD Heffron Division Community Relations Officer Bob Scala for advice. He personally spoke to a few resident speeders to slow down. I also contacted the Motorcycle Division to send patrol, which they did. These measures helped, but the speeders still prevail. I have personally interacted with speeders by standing in the road of Crestone Drive, gesturing to slow down or have them stop. Some heed and appreciation, but others can be flippantly uncooperative. Importantly, I do concede that a stop sign is not a traffic control intended for speed deterrence. But I and the residents of Crestone Ridge, evidenced in the submitted petition, have deliberated sensible options with a stop sign being an easy first step in making our neighborhood a safer environment for all those who inhabit it. I'd like to mention that while I was outside last week, I did meet and have a conversation with Shay Varnell, my ward representative, while he was surveying the area. We discussed a few things about the neighborhood and kind of what started the petition. So I just wanted to make that of note for the commission. Thank you for the opportunity to plead this petition, and I now concede my remaining minutes back to the commission.
Okay, thank you very much. We also have Joe Roberts, who signed up to speak. Joe, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Great.
Can we have your name and address, and you have up to 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. Joe Roberts, 8113 Cloverdale Way, Yukon, Oklahoma. My phone number is 405-820-6851.
Okay, very good, sir. You have up to 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I would like to basically support everything that Scott Hill just said. We do have a serious problem with speeding in our neighborhood. Both Cloverdale Way and Crestone Drive are kind of because they're the straightaways, and they also both exit to Wilshire on the south end of the neighborhood. That people just speed along those roads very badly. I'm also the developer of the neighborhood, and I'm part of the corporation that developed the neighborhood, consisting of my family members, my sisters and their husbands, and my father is kind of a silent partner in the whole thing. We started building here in 2015, 2016. It is an 80-acre plot. Would like to especially emphasize that right now we have 284 lots, potential lots in the neighborhood. We are at 25% occupancy. We have 71 houses that are occupied in the neighborhood. That is 25% occupancy of the total amount of lots that are in this neighborhood. And we are building fast. Things have gotten, sales have picked up considerably. So any problem that we see now is going to be magnified by 4, theoretically. In addition to that, at the north end of the neighborhood, we are required by the city to, they call it a through street, to make a through street to the neighborhood to the north. And I'm sorry, I don't know the name of that neighborhood yet, but it's being developed as we speak. Those people are on Britain Road. They do not have access to the Kilpatrick Turnpike. The chance that they will come through Crestone Ridge to get to the Wilshire entrance to the turnpike is quite high, I believe. In addition, we're also required to, and we're doing it right now, we're putting a through street over to Cottonwood Farm, which is the neighborhood to the east of Crestone Ridge. Cottonwood Farm residents, a certain portion of them also, will find it quicker and more convenient to cut through Crestone Ridge to get to the Wilshire entrance for the turnpike than it would be to go through their own neighborhood. The problem that I see is that, again, we're experiencing these problems at 25% occupancy. We have not opened up either one of those two through streets. And when all of this is combined, I just see a very big problem coming along. At the area that Scott was speaking of, we have the entrance to a villa, which is a gated street neighborhood. We have a swimming pool and a playground, all within 120 feet of each other. We have a four-way intersection there with both an entrance and an exit to the gated neighborhood called the Villas at Crestone Ridge. Lots of kids walking around. They're excited, they're happy, they're going to the pool, going to the playground. And I'd just like to request that you take that into consideration, that I do feel that we've got a problem with the speeding, and would like to lend my support to Scott Hill and the petition. And I'll cede the remaining part of, how do you say that? I'll cede the remainder of my time back to the commission. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, is there anybody else on here that would like to speak on item 5A? Okay, staff, can we have the input, please?
All right, well, you've got our complete report before you. At this point in time, we've got about 424 vehicles per day entering the intersection over at Cloverdale Way and 80th Street, and likewise over at Crestone Drive and 80th. There are about 314 vehicles per day running through the intersection. You've got speed studies before you. You've got our review of the cities and the MUTCD stop control criteria. Just based on volumes alone, staff does not have the justification to recommend the use of always stop to regulate the intersections. So at this point in time, action on this item will be at the discretion of the commission. And about the only other thing that you probably ought to be aware of is that at either end of 80th Street, there are residences that do have driveways that enter directly into the intersection. And for those residents, it'll just become for the lack of a better term, a new normal when they're having to enter when there's other traffic at the intersection, because driveways don't get the right of way. It'll be the vehicles that are stop controlled on either 80th and either Cloverdale or Crestone. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have a motion concerning item 5A?
I definitely have a motion to approve both of these requests, both of these stop control devices. I didn't speak up earlier, but I spent about 45 minutes in this neighborhood watching both of those intersections before I even ran into Mr. Hill. And I saw many cars coming in and out, as was mentioned. My biggest concern is what the developer, and I didn't know he was going to be on the call today, said is only 25% of this neighborhood is completed. It's going to increase traffic volume immensely very quickly, because I saw at least 10 houses going up that were being built. I saw many kids running around. There's a park at the busiest intersection, which is Crestone, that's adjacent to Mr. Hill's house. And while him and I were out here talking for a few minutes, we actually saw several cars, including a Corvette, go about 50 miles an hour right down the street. I definitely think a control device is necessary here. And I know we come across this as a commission. Every single meeting we have something just like this. And one thing I always appreciate, and I heard Mr. Littlefield say this last meeting, is when a neighborhood gets together and gets behind something like that, it really gets my attention. And that's why I'm wholeheartedly in favor of my motion.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve from Commissioner Varnell. So we're going to wait for that to pop up on our screen here. There it is. Can I have a second on that, please? There it is. Commissioner Russell went ahead and did a second. Okay, now that we have that, do we have any input, any talk from the traffic commissioners? Any other input?
I have a question for staff. Stuart, was there any review or any possibility of any traffic calming measures in the ASAP program that could have been applied here? Was it considered?
About the only thing that's available at this point in time would have been like the use of a driver speed feedback sign. But that would be about it. And that would be, at this point in time, that'd be a cost that'd be borne by the neighborhood. Those things are running around $4,000 per unit.
Did the neighborhood and the developer consider that?
I do not know. They would have to, you would have to have that question answered by them.
This is Scott Hill. I've watched quite a few of these commission meetings, and I've seen, you know, the mentioning of the ASAP programs and the speed humps. And so while I was out petitioning the residents within the 300-foot radiuses, and I really spoke to everyone on 80th Street because it would impact them in a material way. I explained to them, you know, there are a few options out there that are not a stop sign, but most of them are the expense is borne by the HOA and the residents, and the maintenance is also responsible to the HOA and the residents. And so when I discussed that, they felt they understood that, but they were more in line and focusing on the more economic approach first initially to see where that would make an impact. And so consequently as well, I reached out to Seth Barkosi, who was a part of the
Quail Creek ones.
The Quail Creek, yeah, Thorn Ridge Road and Red Oak Road. And I actually asked him last night, how has the stop sign helped with your initiative to implement a better speed control? And said it's helped tremendously, which gave me a lot of confidence in the petition and what we're trying to accomplish today. And I just wanted to mention that in that kind of in the scope of discussing those speed humps as well.
That's excellent, and I appreciate that. If I could make a suggestion, and it's a, you're probably going to have to do a little bit of work on this, but the two streets that you spoke about that have not been developed yet, that will be, the concern there is cut through traffic from the future neighborhoods to the north. I would encourage some conversation with the traffic management division when those are planned to incorporate something in those streets that are traffic calming measures, like a mini roundabout perhaps, or, you know, the possibility of curving the streets. Those sorts of things have the effect that you're looking for, where you would need a stop sign and could really benefit you. So I encourage you to look into that as the development of those neighborhoods to the north are considered.
I can allow Joe to speak to that. As far as I think they're already passed through city council. Is that correct, Joe? As far as the access road to Cloverdale, I'm not sure about the one to Britain.
Yes, this is Joe Roberts again. The neighborhood both the neighborhood to the north and the neighborhood to the east is completed. So Crestron or Cottonwood Farm, which is the neighborhood to the east, it's already completed. The neighborhood to the north, I assume that they are platted because they have they're doing the road work and the putting in the utilities.
Okay, I'm aware that the Planning Commission has a consciousness about traffic calming issues and traffic calming measures being incorporated into new developments. So perhaps there's something already there, but those are the kinds of things that keep neighborhoods from having to come back to the traffic commission to solve these things, you know, when they could be solved when they're developed or addressed when they're developed. It's more or less just a comment from me. I have
That's
no
great.
problem with these stop signs at all.
That makes great sense. Thank you for the recommendation, Rob.
You bet.
Okay, is there anybody else from the traffic commission that wants to speak? Any other commissioners? Okay, so we'll go ahead and move on here. We have a motion from Commissioner Varnell, seconded by Commissioner Russell, to approve item 5A, subpoints 1 and 2. And so as soon as the, let's see here, there it is. Okay, and the voting's up. So can I have your votes, please?
I'll have to be verbal.
Me too.
Okay. We'll have to just go down the roll.
I vote for approval on both items.
Okay, Commissioner Schulen, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Commissioner Miller, how do you vote?
Nay.
Okay. We have 6-1. The item has passed. Leave that up on the screen for just a second, and then we'll be moving on over to the next item. Okay. We go on now to
Under consideration, Commission. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. 5B, Brad S. Wright, partner, Owl Court LLC, to consider a request to 1, remove a mid-block pedestrian crossing on West Britton Road, located approximately 90 feet east of the east curb line of North Clawson Boulevard, and 2, establish a reserved parking for the physically disabled on the north side of West Britton Road from approximately 60 feet east to 85 feet east of the east curb line of North Clawson Boulevard. And I see that Brad Rice is available to talk. Brad, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can I have your name, address, and then you'll have up to 5 minutes.
Sure. My name's Brad Rice. My address is 1109 River Chase Drive, Edmond, Oklahoma, 73025.
Thank you.
And I am a property owner right across the street from what's showing on the screen. I'm not sure I understood the dimensions you just read. Maybe I wasn't listening as I was reading the note back, but first of all, thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to speak to the commission, and also for Mr. Chai's group to do a lot of research on this. Basically, what we're requesting is, if you've been down Britton Road in a while, it's obviously a very busy street. There's a lot of real estate development and redevelopment going on from Western down to where we are and a little bit further. Variety Care has been built directly across the street from us. To the west 2 blocks, there have been a lot of businesses that have been, or shuttered buildings have been brought back to life. Some of them are still waiting for tenants. We're working on the old Owl Court, which was built in the 30s. It had to tear a few of the buildings down, but we tried to save everything we could and beautify that. So we're close to having tenants. Anyway, we've already had our parking approved on our side of the street. So this is strictly a request for the Britton district. When I say on our side of the street, on our property, not on the street itself, we have ours approved from the planning group. But so what we've thought is what will help this district now, and especially going forward as businesses continue to grow. Route 66, Centennial comes up in a couple years, which the state's pushing, and travel, is to have a parking lane on the north side of Britton Road only. We've already gone through Mr. Chai's department and realized angled parking would not be a good extension here. It's not wide enough to just extend angled parking from the west to the east 1 block. So this is kind of a plan B request. The idea was to try to gain 14 or 15 spots, whatever the lane would bring to us. But if you ever drive that to the west, the train along Western stops traffic 4, 5, 6 blocks back, even past our property. So people are already trained. One of these photos, I think on page 17, already shows the merge lane, which starts about half a block to the west of us, but there's already a merge lane. So people were trained to get in that center lane already. And it just made sense to request for a parking lane here along the north side of the road where Variety Care is. So with that being said, we'd love to have an ADA parking spot. It sounds like Mr. Chai's group has come back saying it may not be possible due to this, the angle of the median that you see on the photo right now that Variety Care built up when they redeveloped that property. So in our request, we were trying to do as far as to the west as possible, as close to that fire hydrant. There is no crosswalk right there crossing Britain at Classen going from the south to the north. So I think the major matter was how close it could be the intersection and how close it could be the fire hydrant. So our thought was to put that ADA spot as close to those as possible. In the photo here, it seems to be a little bit further to the east than what I intended, but I think there's still a ramp issue or a slope issue on the green. So I had some other suggestions, but I think I'll let my time stop for the moment and maybe we can present those depending on what you all feel as questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anybody else wanting to speak on item 5B? All right, staff, can we have your input, please?
All right, you've got our comments before you. On the first page of the report, you'll see that there's the basic traffic data. One thing I want to kind of highlight for you is under the traffic volume, this particular section of Britain Road carries just over 14,500 vehicles per day. So it's a relatively busy section. The posted speed limit on Britain Road, once you get west of Chartel, is 25 miles an hour. We conducted a speed study within that 25-mile-an-hour zone, and we were running an 85th percentile, about 36. So traffic is moving a little bit, well, about 11 miles over the speed limit. And depending on direction of travel, we got, when we conducted our speed study, we got high speeds of 40 miles per hour in the westbound direction and 46 miles an hour in the eastbound direction. You can see there's a little bit of history relative to parking conditions along Britain Road, because when this section of, when the old town of Britain was annexed by the city of Oklahoma City in 1950, there wasn't any angle parking. And in the early 50s, the commission made a recommendation to put in 30-degree angle parking. And there's a report on the commission's review of this thing dating back from April of 1954, and that's at the tail end of this particular agenda item. With respect to what Mr. Rice has got requested, which is removal of the mid-block pedestrian crossing, and then for the accessible spot for persons with disabilities, removal of the mid-block pedestrian crossing is something that staff would recommend. It used to serve an elementary school, and that school is no longer present. Harrison Elementary used to be located at the same location where the Variety Care Health Center is right now. Where they've got the handrail for that sidewalk, which was placed because that sidewalk is considerably higher than the curb. They would make the use of that particular mid-block crossing, it's totally inaccessible. So eliminating that, it makes perfect sense. With respect to the location of that reserved space for the physically disabled, that was placed about as close as we could move it to the intersection, simply because it was at a location where we would have adequate future setback from the intersection in the event that it was, other traffic controls were placed there, or there was a crosswalk that was established. So that's why the recommended location for the ADA space is where it is. The only thing that's unfortunate about that is the way that the slope was built up. When the Variety Care Health Center was developed, the finished floor of that building sits considerably higher than the curb elevation does. So at this point in time, we just don't have we just don't have cause to recommend approval of the ADA space, and it's simply because the lay of the land just does not support it, and it would also push that ADA space far enough away from the intersection of the person that if they were trying to get from the parking space to a wheelchair ramp, they would be in the road for a considerable distance. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any other questions you may have on the application.
So, staff, just to clarify, I'm looking at the picture on page 18 with the open door, and let's see if you can call that up there. There you go. And so what I hear is for an ADA, this right side of a vehicle needs to have a flat area so a ramp could come down and then the person could go off the ramp onto the sidewalk. Is that how an ADA is supposed to be, sir?
Well, typically in the downtown area, if there's enough room, the current city's parking standard for a space like that provides like about a 5-foot aisle around the passenger side of the vehicle, and that's so someone who's departing a vehicle like that, especially through a van, if they're using like a wheelchair assist or any sort of a ramp, it gives them the ability to get down to at least street level before they, start making their way towards the nearest wheelchair ramp. And in this particular location, there's just not the place to even do something like that. The only place, if you needed that space for accessibility purposes, you'd be constrained to exit from the driver's side of the vehicle. And on most like vans that are so equipped, they almost always enter and exit on the passenger side.
Okay, so let me ask something here just to make sure. To be ADA compliant, you have to have a 5-foot buffer around to the passenger side. So if that would be the case, that hill would have to be cut into and turned into a street level kind of thing going up to the sidewalk. Is that what you're saying, sir?
Yeah, there would be considerable modification required to do that. I mean, anything is possible to construct, it would be challenging to construct at this location.
Okay, and then the second question is, you mentioned the parallel parking is not us to think about that's already been approved or can be approved without us, but the ADA parking space has to be through us. Can they build those parking spaces and not have an ADA space?
No, for the city to establish a parking lane on Britton Road, that would be considered part of like a city program, and all city programs have to be in compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. And for parking areas having up to 25 parking spaces, you have to provide at least one of those spaces has to be an ADA accessible space. So you can't build the spaces without being compliant with ADA requirements.
Okay, so now I understand. I just wanted to make sure that I understood. Okay, so
may I make a few? May I ask a few questions again?
Oh, please, yes, sir. Go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, basically in our request, we'd love to include an ADA space. By the way, we're required to have one across the street at the Owl Court, so we will have an ADA space on the south side of the street. Just a couple of ideas here. When I first submitted this revision as opposed to angled, my thought was do something similar to Linwood Boulevard. My understanding is they're not compared apples to apples as far as this being an arterial street versus whatever West Linwood is, just west of Western and Classen, where there is a parking lane with no ADA, which I think kind of refers to the question you just asked, is could it be done without an ADA? So I just want to point that out. It has been done elsewhere in the city, but it's a different street classification. The other thing I wanted to point out, and I don't know, because we're not trying to have the sidewalk altered. Obviously, for some reason, this elevation for Variety Care is a foot or two higher than anywhere else on Britton Road. If you drive up and down east and west, this is elevated, just like it was mentioned a few minutes ago. It's higher, so it makes it unfortunate. I guess one of the questions I have, and this may have to be a continuance, but if the one-way street for Classen, it turns to the north there, if we can go to maybe the page 18, if you don't mind. So if you look at the fire hydrant, to the left of this where it mentions wheelchair ramp, to the left of that, that's going north on Classen. That is flat. It now has a sidewalk. Is it even possible that a parking lane could still be requested along Britton and maybe we revised this to have a little bit of parking striped along North Class and on the west side of the Variety Cares building where it is flat and is to a sidewalk. I know that'll take another field trip because Google Maps shows the pre-construction, so it doesn't really show where that's done, but that's one idea to throw out here. I mean, I think you'll find that we're going to try to be as flexible as possible in our request, and certainly in respect for physically disabled as part of what we want to have for the Britton district as a whole. We don't want to stop things, but if we can kind of find where we can put it somewhere else, that would be great too. I'd hate to stop the plan and the request just because of that. If it could be made maybe just to the north of that fire hydrant, north of the wheelchair ramp, on a street that probably has 8 cars an hour on it.
So what you're saying is, can you put the ADA parking space around the corner and still have it count towards the parallel parking spots?
It's a question, and I don't know if it's wide enough there. Technically, I believe that's 2 lanes. I think it's the same width as the 2 lanes on the south side of Britton Road. Obviously, Mr. Chai's group would have better knowledge of street widths and what could potentially work, so I'll defer that to the staff. But as far as, yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. Is that even a possibility?
Staff?
Unfortunately, that aerial there, you'll see pre-construction, so it really doesn't show what's there now on page 14.
So
okay, that would have to be something considered at a later date. However, we would have to visit with the city's ADA coordinator and see what's possible.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. Are you all able to see this photo? This is a picture I took from my car. That is from the intersection looking to the north of Variety Cares on the right side. I don't know if this is reversing for you, but
no.
Variety Cares should be on the right side of the picture. If it might be on left if it's reversed, but basically you'll see how they've put a sidewalk in there right up to the curb, so it is flat. And that's where maybe a suggestion could be that an ADA or maybe an ADA and a couple of additional spots could be put there. Just an idea.
So what you're maybe asking for is to defer this portion of the item, so staff could check with the ADA people and they could do a field trip out there to kind of give some guidance on that other street.
I think that would make sense. I mean, we're not under a time crunch by any means. This is a long-term Britton district, which it is now a district kind of request. So rather than starting all over, I think that would make sense if everyone involving the staff and the committee here is in agreement. That might make sense, so we don't have to start all over and have the money spend its time, and I'm sorry, the city spend its time and efforts to start all over as well.
Okay, so I think we got most of the information here. Let's go ahead and go to a motion concerning item 5B, 1 and 2.
Oh, excuse me.
I want to just ask, how does Variety Care feel about all this? Have y'all discussed this with Variety Care, and where are they on all this, of the issue? And they've invested a lot on that property, it looks like.
No, we have not, but this is on street. So, they have a very large parking lot. If anything, what we're trying to do is look out for Variety Care and not have people park in their private lot and then them have to manage people getting towed. Same thing that we're going to have to do on our side of the street. We don't want to, we're hoping to alleviate that. This has really good bones. Britton Road has really good bones with infrastructure. There's more infrastructure and traffic patterns, and being close to Nichols Hills and the village now with their roadscaping done to the west. This has an opportunity over the next decade or so to really take off, similar to the Plaza District, because there are so many buildings there and there's already parking in place, which the Plaza did not have. So we're just trying to get ahead of the curve here.
All right.
Okay, so can I have a motion concerning item 5B?
I move for approval of the first portion, which would be eliminating the crosswalk. And I move for a deferral on the second. I'd like to ask the applicant, I think a 30-day deferral is way too short a period of time. Would you prefer like a 90-day or?
Well, I guess it's really more of a staff question. we're going to defer to the staff's judgment here. Again, we're just trying to compromise with all the parties that can make the decision and pull off striping. So
You could just say, move it to the next available meeting once all the information is available.
well, Mr. Chad, does that suffice your team? I mean, is this a possible doable project by doing that? Does that give you time?
Well, we would need like a revised request letter for the record from you on the change. And as Commissioner Russell had mentioned, you might want to visit with the people over at the Variety Care Health Center to see if, just to discuss what it is that you're contemplating changing on Classen Boulevard.
Okay. Again, which is a public street, but okay.
Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Little.
Mr. Chairman, can I have a comment, please?
Okay, go ahead, sir.
It's for the staff. Stuart, are you okay with the parking there and the way the pedestrians are going to have to walk down the side of the street to get past to access the sidewalk? I mean, are you as a traffic engineer, are you okay with that?
It would not be my preferred means of doing things. In particular, on this particular section of Britton Road, I mean, it'd be great if everyone would enter or exit from the driver's side of the vehicle, but getting in and out of the passenger side is going to be problematic at best. So, and given the fact that people are running about 11 miles faster than the posted speed limits, and it carries about 14,000 plus vehicles per day, it could be challenging to get across. And like you noted, there's no good adjacent access to an adjacent sidewalk because in addition to the slope, it's got a handrail, and that handrail was a requirement, an ADA compliance requirement when that sidewalk got built, just because of the slope and the grade difference between the sidewalk and the curb on Britton Road.
I feel exactly the same as you do.
If you would look at, here's page 19, if you want to pull that up, you'll see the smart car there is right up against the curb. There's probably still, correct me if I'm wrong, Stuart, there's still probably 4 or 5 feet to the left to where the center line is currently on the exterior lane. I don't know if you can see that or not, but so I mean, that's parked right against the curb. But if they parked further toward the left, toward the center line, would that not give them walking space against the curb?
It would, but it would also mean that the driver's side door would open out into the adjacent traffic lane.
Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. Littlefield, I think we had a motion pending with you. Could you restate your motion?
It's a move for approval of removal of the crosswalk. And I move for a deferral of the handicap parking space until such time that more work has been done. I don't know if that's even appropriate. Stuart, is the appropriate thing to deny it and have it a new application altogether at some time in the future?
Well, typically speaking, if an item is turned down, it wouldn't be, the commission wouldn't reconsider it for another 6 months by policy.
Then
I suppose that the applicant could withdraw the second part and make a new application for the parking, and then we can take that approach, and then as soon as the applicant's got a new request in and we've had enough time to work it up, then it could come back and it wouldn't be subject to the 6-month pause.
What do you prefer, Brad?
I'm going to go with your judgment. I really don't. I don't do this for a living, so I'm going to defer to the smart people on this call.
I think what we're hearing is if you request to withdraw it, then you could bring it back to the commission before 6 months are up with a new application. If we were to deny it, then you would have to wait 6 months before you could reapply. And it's just sort of foggy in my head to just pick out of the sky 30-day, 90-day, 60-day deferral I suppose at the time of that, when that time is up, we could ask for a further deferral. I'm just trying to make this simple.
Yeah, that's the thought of would it make sense to keep it open? That way people don't have to restart and start all over. But again, that's a Stuart question. So
Regarding the second item, which is the handicap parking space, I move for a 90-day deferral.
Great. Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Littlefield to approve item 5B subpoint 1 and to defer item 5B subpoint 2 for 90 days. Do we have, let's go ahead and,
I'll second that.
okay, we have a second on that one. That was from Red, okay. All right, now traffic commissioners, do we have any talk on this item? Okay, we have no further talk, so we have a motion on the table here to approve item 5B1 and defer item 5B2 for 90 days from Commissioner Littlefield, seconded by Commissioner Miller. Let's go ahead and get the voting screen up. There it is. Can I have your votes, please? And we'll have to have a roll call for some.
Commissioner Littlefield,
I move for approval. I mean, I vote for approval.
Yeah.
Commissioner Shoeline,
Aye.
and Commissioner Miller.
Aye.
Okay, so the item has passed with 7 votes. So we're good to go on that one. We'll move on.
I just want to say thank you to everyone. I know this has taken some creative juices. Thank you for everyone's time today.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your time too. Okay, we now go on to item 5C, BJ Hawkins, PE, PTOE, to consider request for the installation of a traffic signal at the intersection of South Portland Avenue and Southwest 74th Street. And Mr. Hawkins, I see you're here to speak. Are you there?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I got you loud and clear. Can I have your name, address, and you'll have to have up to 5 minutes.
BJ Hawkins with Traffic Engineering Consultants, 6000 Southwestern, Suite 300, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73139. Hello, Commissioners. On behalf of our client, Seafried Industrial Properties, we respectfully request the approval for the installation of a traffic signal at the intersection of Portland Avenue and Southwest 74th Street. The client is proposing to pay for the design installation of the traffic signal. The intersection is currently a westbound stop controlled T intersection. The west leg of the intersection is currently closed and gated off to traffic. The Will Rogers World Airport recently constructed a taxi lane extension just north of where 74th Street would have extended. Due to this, it's very unlikely that the west leg of the intersection would be open to traffic anytime in the future. The west leg of the intersection is not anticipated to be included in the signalization, but could easily be modified to be included in the future if needed. Traffic impact analysis was conducted on the development just to the south. Under the 2025 design traffic scenario, the critical approach at this intersection would expected to operate at a level service F during the PM peak hour. The traffic volumes are expected to increase in the future as as Lariat Landing continues to develop, and a traffic signal warrant was conducted and the intersection did satisfy the peak hour vehicular volume warrant. So we request the approval for the installation of a traffic signal.
He's muted.
I'm not hearing the chairman.
He's muted.
Sorry. My problem here. All right. BJ, thank you very much for that input. Mark, I see you're up on the screen here. It's wanted to talk. Is Mark here? How about Jonathan? You just popped up.
You know what? This is Jamie Bullard with Seafried. I know Jonathan had to drop at about 2:30, but I would kind of second what BJ said. As
Okay,
well.
I'm sorry, sir. Would you state your name again and give your address?
Absolutely. So name is Jamie Bullard with Seafried Properties, and I'm actually out of the Dallas office, which is 3030 LBJ Freeway, Suite 1650, Dallas, Texas.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you.
No problem. Yeah, and again, I would second what BJ is saying, just from the developer side, as well as I know Mark, he was trying to call on, but just with communication with him and the airport as well, I think they second the opinion as well, just for a safety standpoint with what would be 18-wheelers making left turns to access that site, just as a safety precaution. We think it's a good idea.
All right, very good. Is there anybody else now wishing to speak on item 5C? Okay, staff, can we have your input, please?
All right, you've got our comments before you. When we'd reviewed this item, the only thing of particular concern to us was that that leftover west approach on Southwest 74th Street. Because if it's closed or gated, the city itself doesn't really have a means of knowing whether or not people are going to try and access the intersection through that approach. And for that reason, when you look at our recommendations, we say that should the Traffic and Transportation Commission approve the request for the installation of a traffic signal at this intersection, staff is recommending approval subject to signalized control on all approaches entering the intersection, or the removal or relocation of the west approach so it's outside the limits of the signalized controlled intersection. And aside from that, happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, so let me go back to Mr. Hawkins. How do you feel about that recommendation from staff?
We don't necessarily, we could easily do that. As far as removing that approach, I'm not sure if we would have the ability to do so. Who maintains that? I don't know if we could explore that route, but yeah, we could do one of the two. That's fine.
Okay, very good. Okay, so we've had staff input. Nobody else wanted to speak on this item. Can we have a motion from the traffic commissioners?
I make a motion to approve
Okay,
item.
Okay, hold on a second. Let's get this up here. All right, so we have a motion to approve from Commissioner Russell, and we have a second now from Commissioner Cornett. Do we have any talk up here on the Traffic Commission? Now, just to clarify, Mr. Russell, it's including staff recommendations.
Yeah, including staff recommendations that we figure out what's going on with that west approach of 74, and either it's shut off or it's signalized as part of the design plan.
Right, and for our
if you look at the pictures now, it was brought to my attention, there's like a truck sitting there. I don't think leaving it like it is, you could put 3 sides regulated and then have someone fly out in the middle of the intersection from over there. So.
And for our second, did you copy that? We have with the staff recommendation.
Yes.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Okay, any other talk on this item? Okay, we have a motion to approve item 5C from Commissioner Russell that would include the staff recommendation, seconded by Commissioner Cornett, and we're ready for our votes. Staff, if you can do the roll call.
I'm sorry. Commissioner Littlefield,
My vote is approval.
Commissioner Schuline,
Aye.
and Commissioner Miller.
Aye.
Okay, the item has passed, 7 votes. So we're ready now to move on to item 5D.
Thank you, commissioners.
Okay, we go on now to item 5D. Again, it's BJ Hawkins, PEPTOE, to consider request for installation of a traffic signal on South Portland Avenue, approximately 1/2 mile south of the Southwest 74th Street at a proposed driveway. And Mr. Hawkins, would you like to talk on this one? And don't forget to give me your address, and you have up to 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. BJ Hawkins, Traffic Engineering Consultants, 6000 Southwestern Avenue, Suite 300, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, 73139. Similarly, on behalf of our client, Seafried Industrial Properties, we respectfully request the approval for the installation of a traffic signal at Portland Avenue and the North Development Drive. Our client is proposing to pay for the design and the installation of the traffic signal, as well as all necessary roadway improvements. A traffic impact analysis was conducted on the development here shown at the project location. It is just over a 1 million square foot non-sort fulfillment center. The traffic signal it's deemed essential for the development to operate safely and efficiently. There is anticipated to be 131 large trucks entering and exiting the site on a daily basis. All of the trucks will enter and exit from this north drive where the proposed signal is being requested, as well as some of the passenger vehicles entering and exiting the site. Portland Avenue is considered a high-speed arterial with 45 miles per hour, and the traffic volumes are expected to increase through the future as Lariat Landing continues to develop. The North Drive is located approximately 1/2 mile between 89th Street and 74th Street, making it an ideal intersection for signalization with spacing. It is anticipated that future development to the north of this project be constructed at some point, and there is a mutual access agreement where that development will have access to this development drive and the future signal if approved, as well as development to the east of Portland, where the signal is being designed to anticipate a future driveway. So between those two, there's anticipation of a lot more traffic being generated and traveling through this specific intersection. Mark Cronenberg, the director of the Oklahoma City Airport Department, and the Airport Trust are in full agreement of the installation of this traffic signal. I believe Mark might be on the phone or on the call to discuss if needed. Other than that, I think that's about it. We just request the approval for this traffic signal. Oh, I apologize. One more thing.
Yes, sir.
So based on all of the analysis and everything, the development would be anticipated to satisfy the peak hour warrants during the peak season traffic. The normal traffic is, we got a generated volumes from the developer of what's anticipated, and it fell just short of that, but the peak season would be able to satisfy that peak hour vehicular volume warrant as well. Then that's without the addition of any development to the north or to the east, which should be in the near future. So, and that was all submitted to staff.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
You're
Mark,
welcome.
Mark, I show you up here. Do you have some input, sir? I don't think he does. Okay. Is there anybody else out there that wants to speak on item 5D? All right, staff, can we have your input, please?
Okay, you've got our comments before you. On this particular matter, the applicants indicated that they would be responsible for the preparation of the public improvement construction documents and for bearing the construction costs. So action on this particular item will be at the discretion of the commission.
Okay, can we have a motion concerning item 5D?
This is Commissioner Russell. I make a motion to approve item 5D. Is that?
Right, and I don't think there's any special.
Yeah, there doesn't see anything that I need to stipulate.
Right. Okay, so we have a motion to approve item 5D. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and move on over there. There we go. We're on to that page. We have the motion. We have a second. We have a second by Commissioner Varnell. And that's to approve this item. Do we have any talk up here on the Traffic Commission? Okay, we have a motion to approve item 5D from Commissioner Russell, seconded by Commissioner Varnell. Can we have your votes, please? The vote.
Commissioner Littlefield,
Vote for approval.
Commissioner Schuline,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller.
Aye.
Okay, the item has passed with 7 votes.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're ready to move on over to item 5E. Call Hyde. To consider a request for a no parking anytime restriction on the east side of North Quapaw Avenue from Northwest 22nd Street to Northwest 23rd Street. And I see, Carl, that you're up here. Carl, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, sir. Let me have your name, address, and you have up to 5 minutes.
Okay, my name is Carl Hyde. I'm at 3801 Northwest 22nd Street, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73107. These apartments have been shut down for the past couple of years now, and they're reworking them, and it's been nice and quiet over here, as we must say. I even have my president of the association that lives over in this area, and we're all reaping the benefits while they're shut down. But since they're rebuilding them, there's going to be traffic along this Quapaw Street again, and they was allowed to park on their side at one time. Well, since they were working, you know, they were, because we had them shut down. We did a petition back in 1997 in December, and then we allowed them to park on their side because the street is so narrow. It creates a lot of bottlenecking. Our neighbors have a hard time navigating through these cars that park on the northbound side of Quapaw. And if you're coming south on Quapaw, you have people challenging you because these cars are coming down the street, and you end up having to sit there and wait till they get down the street completely. And they only get like 4 or 5 parking spots anyway. So it's a real inconvenient for emergency vehicles, for school children to come down the street. And my house is on the west side of there, and I can't get to my driveway at times because people park where they're not supposed to anyway. And I call it in. We have to wait till somebody calls them up and tells them to move them, of course. Try to be good neighbors with them. But since they're not there anymore, we'd like to just go ahead and continue the no parking. And they have it fenced off anyway, so they can go ahead and park inside what's allowed. The property owners have their design for them. And we just want our neighborhood to be safer. And so, like I said, I've got a few signatures for this petition. And since we all bear the burden of living right next to them, and so we would ask for a little bit of assistance from the city. And thank you, Stuart, for allowing us to send this petition for you to be work with us on this area for Musgrave Pennington Edition.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Do we have anybody else out there wanted to speak on item 5E? Okay, staff, can we have your input, please?
Okay, you've got our traffic comments before you. As noted in his letter, Mr. Hyde notes that the intended purpose of this request is to preserve access conditions for area residents. He did cite past experience with access issues on Quapaw Avenue related to on-street parking associated with the apartment complex, as he noted, which are currently closed and being renovated. So the intent of this request is to prevent the recurrence of roadway congestion conditions in advance of the apartment's reopening. The applicant has provided the petition meeting the commission's policy demonstrating support for the request. So if approved, this request will ultimately restrict parking on both sides of Quapaw Avenue between Northwest 22nd and 23rd Streets. So action on this item will be at the discretion of the commission, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you very much, staff. Do we have a motion concerning item 5E?
Commissioner Russell would like to make a motion to approve item 5E.
Okay. And Commissioner Varnell went ahead and did a second. So do we have any talk on this item?
I would like to ask, with cars parked in the street, that often provides a visual barrier and slows down traffic in and of itself. And so you spoke to, Mr. Hyde, you spoke to the fact that safety is a priority for this neighborhood. With that being a main thoroughfare just right off that intersection, is it a concern for you at all that without having any cars parked there, it's a wide open street that people can just speed down more quickly than they would anyhow?
No, it is not that wide. It looks wide in the picture, but you go parking any cars in the street, it leaves only one lane to go through. And if you got people coming off of 23rd when it's busy and they have work on the intersection of 23rd and Portland, it puts a burden on our neighbors for safety. And we've had emergency vehicles had to loop through our area, and it would be very hard for them to make this a safe area to be driving through again.
Sure. I show that it's a standard 26-foot wide street, correct, Stuart?
Excuse me.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So I think there are several streets that have on-street parking where this is, I mean, it's pretty standard in Oklahoma City to have on-street parking. I think my biggest fear is the removal of on-street parking. Being that close to the intersection will create a lot more, I guess, remove that visual barrier and will create more speeding in your neighborhood, which is the opposite of what you want to do.
Well, it's been open for 2 years and we haven't experienced any of that. We've just enjoyed the flow of getting through there, and it was a lot safer to drive through this area now.
Correct. It may be safer to drive, but what I'm concerned about is your pedestrian, the people in your neighborhood who may be walking to and from that apartment complex whenever it opens back up. That would not be good for them if you have safer driving conditions where people feel like they can go more quickly. Does that make sense?
It says a lot, but it's not true in this area, because our seniors and stuff that do walk down our sidewalks and stuff, we all look out after one another, and we try to watch this area closely to make it safe for the whole entire neighborhood that we all border
with. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else wanted to speak on this item from the traffic commissioners? Any other input? Okay, so we have a motion to approve item 5E from Commissioner Russell, seconded by Commissioner Varnell. Can I have your votes, please?
Commissioner Littlefield,
I vote for approval.
Commissioner Shoeline,
Aye.
and Commissioner Miller.
Aye.
Okay, item has passed 6-1. Okay, and now we're ready to move on over to the next item. Item 5F, Timothy W. Johnson, P.E., Johnson & Associates, Inc., to consider a request for a full-time passenger loading zone on the west side of North Walnut Avenue from approximately 60 feet north to 160 feet north of the north curb line of Northeast 13th Street. Mr. Johnson, are you there?
Yes, sorry.
No, that's fine. All right. So, Mr. Johnson, if I could have your name and address, and you'll have up to 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. Tim Johnson with Johnson Associates, 1 East Sheridan Avenue, Suite 200, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. We're here representing the applicant of the Walcourt building and or the owner of the Walcourt building. It's being redeveloped. It's a historic building being redeveloped to allow for a multitude of uses. It's been rezoned. It's under construction. And we're asking to allow this, what would normally be a drop off in front of a building if it had a standard setback, but because of the building being built so close to the property line, that drop off is being constructed in the extra wide right of way of Walnut Avenue. Normally the right of ways now are 50 feet. This old platted right of way is 80 feet wide. So, and as the staff report says, we're asking for a full-time use of this so that we don't have to deal with people parking there, the public parking there at times that we're open. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. It's pretty straightforward. We did submit an exhibit, and I can show that if it's not in your packet.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. Is there anybody else wanting to speak on item 5F? All right, staff, can we have your input, please?
Okay, you've got our comments before you. As Mr. Johnson noted, it's just they're requesting a passenger loading zone to be in effect on a full-time basis. If it was, the only recommendation we have is, if approved, we would recommend it be in accordance with the summary of staff recommendations. And I'm happy to answer any other questions that you may have.
Thank you very much. Do we have a motion concerning item 5F?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve with staff's recommendations.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Miller to approve item 5F to include the staff recommendations, and we already have a second by Commissioner Barnell. Any discussion up here in the Traffic Commission?
I have a quick comment for Tim. Tim? Is he still with us?
Sure. Yes, sir.
I used to, back when I could ride a bicycle, and we're talking decades and decades ago, I used to go by this building, and I'd sit with my friends and stare at that building and the condition that it was in and abandoned. And I kind of always dreamed and thought, gosh, what a wonderful structure. And I'm so glad to see your client doing this to this building. It's wonderful. Just really, truly great building. Glad to see it happening.
It's very stunning inside as well. And it was so well built that the damage was not as bad as you would have expected with the number of holes in the roof that there had been over the years.
Incredible. Great work.
Okay, any other talk from commissioners on item 5F?
I didn't ride my bike by there, but I echo Rob's sentiments. I love that building.
Very good. Any other talk on item 5F? Okay, we have a motion to approve item 5F from Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Barnell, and of course, item 5F with staff recommendations, I believe, right? Yeah, to include the staff recommendations. So if we can have your votes, please.
Commissioner Littlefield,
I vote for approval.
Commissioner Schuline,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
All right, there it is. Items passed, all 7 votes.
with
Here we go. Okay, now we're on to item 5G. Item 5G is Valerie McMurray, Ground Route Development LLC, to consider a request for a weekday parking restriction on the north side of East Park Place from North Latte Avenue to 150 feet east of the east curb line of North Wattie Avenue, effective from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Ma'am, I see you're here. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Very good. So if I can have your name, address, and you'll have up to 5 minutes.
Yes, Valerie McMurray, 1311 East Park Place. And I started this petition back before COVID. And as you can see, there's new construction going on the left side. And there's a lot of new construction going on Lottie as well, especially right there on like 8th and Lottie. And if you notice, the cars are on both sides of the street. And if you see there's not that many cars, but during the hours of school, it is very concentrated, heavily concentrated with cars from Lottie to the end of Kate. And it makes it extremely hard because there are children in the area, there's elderly, individuals, areas are being blocked. Matter of fact, there are times where the trash cans can't even be picked up by the city. So the trash is left there. So when we started construction, it was extremely hard to even get any of the construction trucks in there to even do the work. They had to go around. So we just want to prohibit that. What's going on right across, directly across the street on the west side of the street is OU parking lot. So there are students and they're parking on both sides of the street all the way down. And it's very unsafe. As I said before, they're elderly as well as children. The street is just too narrow to have all of that traffic going on. And it's right in the middle of a subdivision.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Is there anyone else to speak on item 5G? Okay, staff, can we have your input, please?
All right, you've got our comments before you. As noted, Ms. McMurray notes that the purpose of the parking restriction is to improve access conditions for the neighborhood by limiting parking. Their petition demonstrates that they've got sufficient support to meet the commission's requirements. So action on this item to prohibit weekday parking from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. just on the north side of East Park Place from about 150 feet to the east of Lottie Avenue is going to be at the discretion of the commission. I might want to note that the area traffic control map that's on display for you does show there's quite a few parking restrictions that are already in place in the neighborhood to address, I would presume to be nuisance parking. You will notice that on the left side of that screen, there's a label with white lettering that says limits of Capital Medical Center Improvement and Zoning District. And within the limits of that particular district, state law establishes that it's the University of Oklahoma that controls all parking within that particular boundary. So aside from that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have on this application.
All right, thank you, staff. Do we have a motion concerning 5G?
Mr. Chairman, I move approval.
Okay, we have a motion to approve Commissioner Miller. And we have a second from Commissioner Russell. Any discussion from the traffic commissioners?
I have the same concern on this one. I understand it's nuisance parking, but I think that it does provide a barrier more so for that sidewalk that exists there or patrons on the sidewalk, as well as creates a slower flow of traffic through that neighborhood.
Yes, ma'am. Any other talk on item 5G?
Could I
Okay, we have I'm sorry.
Could I make a comment?
Yes, please.
Yes, on the matter of fact, as we speak about sidewalks on the north side, there aren't any sidewalks. They're all broken up. So the children are walking in the street.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Any other talk on item 5G? Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Miller to approve item 5G, seconded by Commissioner Russell. Can we have your votes, please?
Mr. Littlefield,
Look what popped up.
I gotcha.
Thank you.
Commissioner Schuline,
Aye.
Mr. Miller,
Aye.
Okay, item has passed.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Now we'll go ahead and move on to the next item, 5H. Nick Johnson, Secretary, Stone Manor Lakes Homeowners Association, to consider a request for all-way stop control at the intersection of Stone Manor Drive and Northwest 146th Street. So I don't see Nick Johnson as someone to speak.
Yeah, this is Michael Brock. I'm here for Nick. He couldn't be here.
Okay, so Michael, if I could have your name and address, and you'll have up to 5 minutes.
Yeah, my name is Michael Brock. My address is 8309 Northwest 146th Street, Oklahoma City 73142. And I think Nick appeared before you all on this matter at a previous meeting, and I believe the conclusion was to do a traffic study and then go from there. Additionally, I think we were supposed to, I think one of the suggestions was maybe get with Stuart on this about some alternatives to a stop sign. And I was not directly communicating with Stuart, but I was definitely on the emails, and it was very difficult to get any kind of alternatives out of him opposed to a stop sign. Since the previous meeting, a car lost control and hit a mailbox and also totaled the car. We also had an additional wreck where somebody lost control these both happened within the intersection, and a car ran up into a yard nearby right there at the corner. If there were stop signs there, I know one of the things that was conveyed from Stuart in some of the emails were, stop signs are not the end all be all, but, in my experience and everybody I've driven with, 99% of the time people stop at a stop sign. So even if the stop sign gets put in and it doesn't, it's going to predominantly work. If you come up, you can't see it very well in those pictures, but where that stop sign is located is at kind of the crest of a hill coming from both ways. It's also not exactly, a 90-degree turn. It's kind of an awkward angle turning from right there when you turn left or turn right. So yeah, you can kind of see it from there. It's not exactly a great turn. I don't really like how they designed the street myself. So basically, we are just heavily in favor of getting stop signs put in. We think that's one of the really only remedies to the situation. So I'm more than willing to answer any questions you all have or listen to any comments. So I'll yield back.
All right, thank you very much. I show Bob McCombs wanted to speak. Bob, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
If I could have your name, address, and you have up to 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you. Bob McCombs, 8217 Northwest 146th Street, Oklahoma City, 73142. I apologize. I was not able to attend the June meeting when this was originally discussed. It's my understanding that the primary driver behind this request was the safety at the bus stop that's been designated in this intersection. I just disagree that adding a three-way stop here will do anything to alleviate that problem. In my opinion, the HOA and the school district should coordinate to just relocate that bus stop to a safer location. They have put it here in the busiest intersection in the neighborhood. So I think that there's another that to me, in my opinion, that's the best alternate solution to relieve the safety concerns there with the bus stop. But back to some of the other points there. I mean, if you look at the traffic study that was done, the maximum speed that was recorded during that traffic study was 32. And while that traffic study was done, I don't believe there have been any accidents reported prior to that to the June meeting. It sounds like there have been 2 since then, but I don't think stop signs, from the way those were described, I don't think stop signs would have prevented those types of accidents that happen. So
they would have slowed people down. I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
Well, then we'll agree to disagree. So
do stop signs not force people to come to a stop because they were going over the rate of speed?
Sir, if I may, let's go ahead and let Mr. McCombs go ahead and finish his
Sorry
talk.
about that.
No problem.
Thank you, Commissioner. There was an alternate solution presented in Nick's original request to post no parking signs along the roads at this intersection. I mean, I think that would help because what's happening is prior to the bus stopping in this area, you've got 10 to 12 vehicles with parents waiting on the children, parking on both sides of both streets right at the intersection, and that's what's creating the congestion. This is a standard 26-foot wide road, and you got cars parking on both sides, basically creating it a 1-lane road. I just think that's what's creating most of the safety concerns. So I think no parking signs would help. I honestly believe moving the bus stop to another location. My suggestion would be straight north to the semi cul-de-sac there at Stone Manor Drive, and I think that's 149th Street. It's covered up by the label there in that graphic. But that would be my recommendation. And if I have any time left, I'll yield back to the commission.
Oh, very good. Thank you for your comments, sir. Mr. Brock, did you have some follow-up comments that you'd like to make?
Oh, I mean, the bus stop being there, I think the bus could be moved, definitely, and that would alleviate some of the issues there. But having lived in there and driving, I live on that 146, so I turn left there all the time and then turn right. And it is, there's a lot of times where I've had to kind of stop and let somebody go because not everybody's, obviously paying attention or, driving with courtesy. So I just think a always stop there would greatly benefit the neighborhood. That intersection is more than likely going to be, based on we had a HOA meeting a week ago or so, and we are going to be building a clubhouse there, potentially having some basketball goal there, and maybe an additional, playground swing set deal. I don't know if that's definitely going to go in, but there's going to be a clubhouse there at some point in the near future, and so there's going to be a lot more traffic there, a lot more kids getting in the neighborhood as is. Additionally, like I think you can see in this aerial photo you're looking at now, the neighborhood's clearly not done, so it's just going to get more and more traffic into it. And as a HOA and a neighborhood, I know we couldn't survey. Could only do people within 300 feet of that particular intersection, but there were additional neighbors within the neighborhood that are for a stop sign going in there. So I don't have anything else. I'll be happy to answer questions or listen to comments.
All right, thank you very much. Anybody else wanting to speak on item 5H?
I just want to add that I personally wouldn't be opposed to one stop sign at 146th Street. It's currently a yield sign. Many drivers don't know what a yield sign means, so I wouldn't be opposed to putting a single stop sign there at 146 and letting traffic flow through Stone Manor, the Stone Manor Drive curve there.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that input. Anybody else wanted to speak on item 5H? All right, staff, can we have your input, please?
Okay. Well, when we reviewed this intersection, we just reviewed it against the cities and the MUTCD warrants for the use of all-way stop control to regulate the intersection. It doesn't have the volumes or collision history to justify putting one in, and it was for those reasons that we just didn't have cause to recommend the use of all-way stop control for this particular intersection. So action will be at the discretion of the commission, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have a motion concerning item 5H?
I move that we approve the stop signs in that location, all three.
Okay, let's see here. We have a motion to approve from Commissioner Cornett. Let's wait and see, there it is. And we need a second, please. We have a second to approve this motion. We have a second from Commissioner Russell. So can we have any talk on this item?
I do want to bring up a couple of points. First, the bus stop being moved was brought up in the last meeting, and they had already approached the school district, I believe, and were told that that was not possible. And so to answer Bob's comment about moving that, I think that has already been addressed, and that wasn't up for.
If I can address that, it's my understanding that the request was to add a second bus stop in the neighborhood, which that was denied. But I don't believe they have been, Michael can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe they've approached the school bus, or I'm sorry, the school district to just simply move the bus stop along the same route that it's currently on. That's what I'm recommending. It's not adding any time. It's not changing the route. It's just simply adding the stop from one point to another.
Sure. Yeah, as far as I know, that wasn't the conversation. The conversation was that it was asked to move that one. That could just be a miscommunication in our last meeting. The second was that this was to be delayed so we could get a second traffic study in the area, a speed study. Stuart, I didn't see one in the packet. Was there a second one done in the neighborhood?
We did not conduct a second study in this neighborhood, no.
And that was my concern when we tabled it, that we should have tabled it for another 30 days. So school traffic was going, which still is now not an issue, because I thought we wanted to get some data when school was in session, because if you look at the traffic volumes, one being 623 from Stone Manor, the other being 520 from Northwest 146th Street, you have very similar flow of traffic, which to me made more sense to slow it down, because it wasn't all one way. You weren't inconvenienced in either direction, but could have possibly met the standards when that school traffic was in session. But that's my recollection of what happened and why I decided to second the motion. Anyway.
That's correct. Yeah, and I thought that too, that we were trying to get a second speed study done in that neighborhood so that we could actually make a call on what was going to happen or what should happen in the neighborhood.
Well, if the intent was to collect traffic data based on school volumes, but those don't exist yet.
I think our conversation was around the time of day as well, that this was done on like a 10 a.m. traffic study. Sorry, I'm feeding 3 babies right now.
Bless your heart.
It's a little chaotic.
More multitasking than I can handle.
So yeah, I think it was that the traffic study, and Stuart, you mentioned that it would be possible to do that whenever there was actual volume, like during the time of day, that would be possible to collect.
Okay, well, as far as doing a warrant analysis goes, the stop signs are not used as speed control devices, so there's not really a criteria associated with an 85th, a prevailing speed on a road as being a deciding factor as to whether you do or you do not use stop control in a situation like that.
See, that was my concern was traffic volume, not might have been higher at that time.
Yes, same here.
Okay. Any other talk on item 5H?
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
It just, it seems to me that this neighborhood, this homeowners association is really well put together. And y'all are considering building a clubhouse and adding some other aesthetics to your neighborhood. It's absolutely wonderful. I love to see neighborhoods that are united and work together and have the funds to do things. What I would prefer would be for you to work with the traffic management division and look at the traffic calming measures that could be available to your neighborhood and implement something like that before putting in a stop sign, which over and over and over again has been proven they are not designed to slow traffic. They are designed to manage traffic. And the other comment that I wanted to make is Oklahoma City's school buses, when they stop to pick up children or drop children off, they are stop signs. So I would prefer to not see stop signs here, and an effort to do something more along the lines of what's in the alternative speed abatement program.
Can I get more information on the ASAP program? Because the only one that I have seen, and I believe it's the final version, only has one option, and that is the flashing like speed sign that's available to it. And so are there other, Mr. Littlefield, I hear you mention the ASAP program pretty much every time that we kind of come up against this.
We need to sit down and visit with Stuart one day. There are things that can be done administratively. There's painting on streets, planting trees, the neighborhood there's a list of things that the neighborhood can do to change the condition along the sides of the roads with trees, et cetera, that calm traffic. So it's more complicated and more involved than when I just say it.
Sure.
And we're trying to add measures to it as well.
Okay, and that's what I just wanted to verify, yeah. Because I feel like the ASAP program that I have seen only has one option and it doesn't have other things. But I also heard Mr. Brock say that Stuart didn't give him options. And so is there more information about that as to why those options weren't provided? If stop signs aren't necessary for this, Mr. Brock or Stuart, would you like to kind of weigh in on really if there's not a stop sign option that is recommended, then why other options weren't provided?
Yeah, I can't speak to it, but go ahead, Stuart. I'll let you go.
No, it's about to say, with respect to intersection control, you have very few options. You could have no control on a low volume intersection. You could use yield control, or you could use any form of stop control, whether you're stopping the higher volume road, the side street, or using all-way stop. But as far as other options beyond those, from a regulatory traffic control standpoint, that is your slate of options. And with respect to discussion of like the alternative speed abatement program, we're in the process of writing descriptions for a few other types of techniques that people might be able to latch onto. There's something that we're just calling a street alert, which is like a painted message on a roadway, like a stop. It's or a reminder of the regulatory speed limit. So it'd say something like 25 miles per hour. And then we're also looking at the use of speed cushions as a measure to incorporate into the program. But those don't exist just yet. So if you're talking about exploring other options, the only thing that we currently have available are yield signs, stop signs, or there is always the do nothing option.
And we already have yield signs up there, so.
Isn't it possible that a neighborhood could have an idea that they could suggest to you, Stuart, and you could work with them on those ideas and start implementing some things outside this fixed list, which is the intent of the program?
Yeah, if the neighborhood wants to pitch their ideas to us, yeah, that would be just fine. We'd be receptive to listening to anything they might have.
I would encourage the neighborhood to try that, as opposed to just being satisfied with the three-way stop that likely isn't going to solve your concerns.
Do you have any suggestions other than a three-way stop?
I'd be happy to visit with you.
You said trees. I don't know. I'm not following your logic on what's a tree going to do.
It would take more than a visit that we could accomplish here to share with you what the subcommittee on the traffic calming program came up with. There's lots and lots of things that we could share with you, and I'd be happy to meet with you or visit with you in some fashion and share with you what the subcommittee accomplished.
Okay.
What calms traffic is the environment that drivers see. If we could go back to the images, please, of these streets in this neighborhood.
Probably page 9.
Yeah, at this point in time, we've got a motion pending, so we've got
I'm happy to visit with the applicant at any time,
Okay.
whether this is approved today or not. I'd be happy to.
Okay. Do we have any more discussion on item 5H? Okay, so we have a motion from Commissioner Cornett to approve item 5H and seconded by Commissioner Russell. Can I have your votes, please?
Mr. Littlefield,
I disapprove.
and Commissioner Shoeline,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Nay.
Okay, the item passed. It is approved. Okay, so we're ready to move on to the next item.
I just want to say I appreciate the committee listening to us and approving the motion. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, we go on now to comments from citizens. It does show that we have Tony out there. Tony, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, loud and clear. This is just open comments from citizens. I'll need your name, address, and you'll have up to 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Tony Carfang, 2324 Northwest 26th Street in Oklahoma City, Ward 2. So just two sort of questions about some ideas going forward. First, with regard to OKC code 32-66, with regard to crosswalk signal indicators and timing, there's a bit of a challenge in that a number of intersections around the city begin the flashing against walking with 25 seconds and sometimes more. And so I was curious, given that it is illegal to begin crossing when that starts, what's the typical policy in terms of setting those timings, and what would be a good way to investigate or update on a case-by-case basis? I'm certainly somewhat challenged by the idea that enforcement could potentially be applied in a biased way, or beyond that, the psychological impact of having all these signals that say you're not allowed to walk all the time.
Hey,
Mr. Carfang, could you restate your question? I wasn't quite clear on what it was that you were trying to convey.
Yeah, so at intersections with pedestrian crossings, there's the walk or don't walk. And as the law stands, if the countdown starts for don't walk and you haven't already begun crossing the intersection, then it is illegal to begin crossing. and a number of intersections have very large countdown times of 25, 30 seconds. So I was wondering what might be the ability to change that into something that is you can begin walking or have the timer lower so that it becomes more amenable to walk and cross when you have time to do so.
Well, it's certainly not illegal to enter and to start crossing when the countdown timer has started showing, because that's just showing you the amount of time that you've got before the light will change yellow basically in the same direction the traffic is moving, where the pedestrians are moving. So no, it's certainly not illegal. And there's two styles of signal heads out there. There's like the countdown style of signal head, which gives you an indication of how much crossing time is left. And then there's the older style, which is the walk and the don't walk. But I mean, it's certainly not illegal to enter an intersection when it's flashing don't walk. Because the way we time pedestrian crossing signals is that the manual and uniform traffic control devices prescribes that we show the walk indication for anywhere from 5 to 7 seconds. And then beyond that, we provide enough either flashing don't walk time or countdown time for pedestrians to step off the curb on one side of the intersection and step onto the curb, or the other, or exit the road at the far side of the intersection by the time the countdown goes down to 0. And then that's typically followed by the yellow adjacent, which typically runs another 4 seconds. And then there's an all red, which follows that. So really a pedestrian gets like another 5 seconds after their countdown timer has gone down to 0 to complete their crossing.
Okay, I appreciate your clarification there. Based on Ordinance 32-66, my reading is that it is illegal to begin crossing when that countdown starts. So I'll have to follow up with public safety on their interpretation of it and see if there needs to be a clarification. I know I have seen case law where a pedestrian was hit in the crosswalk, but because the countdown was going, the pedestrian was found at fault. And so that's the sort of the scenario I'm worried about. My second question, there's an intersection at Classen and Western and 16th, Northwest 16th, where a cyclist was killed about 1.5 years ago. And for northbound Classen, there is essentially a slip lane to continue north onto Western, but there's no business at 17th. The only business at 18th is Homeland, which has access at 18th and at Classen. I have this idea that it doesn't necessarily help drivers to be able to go down that way, but if we could take away that slip lane, then pedestrian and bicycle access from the Plaza District to Midtown or to Mesa Park could be enhanced pretty significantly. And so I was wondering what would be the path forward to discuss that potential idea. Would that be through the Traffic Commission or through the Planning Department?
You may have to go to planning on that, because roadway closures are always heard initially through the planning department.
Okay. I appreciate that. That's all I've got for today. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you for your input, sir. Okay, is there anybody else out there that wants to address the Traffic Commission comments from citizen? Okay, we'll move on now to item 7, reports and other items from traffic commissioners, etc. We'll go ahead and go through the roll here. We'll go to Commissioner Varnell.
None from me.
Okay, go to Commissioner Littlefield.
If it's appropriate and agreeable, if the chairman would be willing to share my contact information with Commissioner Cornett and vice versa, I would be happy to visit with her about the work that the subcommittee did on the traffic calming issues. There would, of course, be no discussion in our conversations that would violate any open meetings acts or anything.
But yeah, and as long as there's not an actual quorum there, then yeah,
right.
You can.
I'd be happy to visit with her, and I would be happy for her to have my contact information.
All right, very good.
Well.
Anything else, Commissioner Littlefield?
That's it from Ward 2. Thank you.
Okay, we go to Commissioner Russell.
Only thing I was going to say, I recently purchased some "Drive Like Your Children Lives Here" signs, because we have a street that my street, I sit on a corner and traffic is pretty quick down here. So I don't know if it's going to help or not, but and I got smaller ones than I wanted, but that's what I'm playing with, is like traffic calming measure in my neighborhood. And so, and I've had a couple other neighbors request them from me. So I think that might be something we start pushing out through our neighborhood association. And just it brings awareness to red and white and just gets people's attention and at least makes them cognizant. I think it's probably going to be as good as a flashing number. I don't know. Anyway, this is something we're doing in our neighborhood.
Very good. Thank you, sir. How about Commissioner Schuline?
Nothing to report, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Miller.
Nothing, sir.
Go to Commissioner Cornett.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for sticking with me as I have been everyone. Our sitter left at 2:30 and I knew it was going to be crazy. So I was just wondering, somebody reached out to me and was asking about a follow-up study on North Broadway between Northwest 13th and Northwest 23rd Street, where that speed limit was adjusted to be, it was 30 miles per hour and then it went up to 35 miles per hour, to see if there has been any impact in crashes and if enforcement has gone down, which I guess was probably the intent for that. What do we need to do to have a follow-up study on that little thoroughfare?
So is your request just for a speed study to be on Broadway between 13th and 23rd? Were you needing anything else, or just gathering information on the prevailing speeds?
Prevailing speeds, but also if there have been any incidents. I know that there are a couple of light poles that got taken out a couple of weekends ago. So if there's been an increase in incidents in the area as well.
Ma'am, would you also think that there's a concern about speeders? Is that one of your concerns, that they're even going over the 35?
I think that was the situation to begin with, but it is a speedway straight through that narrow.
Okay, well, staff can put in a request to the motorcycle cops to go ahead and do some spot out there, and then they can report back to us next month.
Okay, that'd be great.
See, I mean, there was one time we sent them out there and they came back and they said within like 2 hours, there was 170 traffic tickets.
Yeah.
This is something that we do often.
Okay.
Staff, we can maybe pass the word along to the captain to see if he can get a crew out there to kind of see how things are flowing.
Sure.
Captain Peel's online. I'm clear, and I'll get with Stuart to make sure I'm not missing anything.
Oh, very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so there it is, ma'am. Would it be okay to just let that happen first and then see what happens if Mr. Chai needs to send a team out there to do a survey later?
That would be great.
Okay, so that's what we'll do. Do you have anything else, ma'am?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Do we have anything from our local law enforcement? Anything else, sir?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, very good. How about from the staff? Do we have any inputs from the staff?
Nothing to add for this month. You've just got our standing report that we make on yield and parking controls that are installed administratively. But aside from that, we've got nothing further to report.
Okay. All I have is maybe we can log in at about 10 after, quarter after 1, and really work on making sure we understand Zoom is one window on our screen, and the Oklahoma City primegov.com live meeting is a second window on the screen, and you kind of, like me, I have them both up. I kind of shared the screen, and that way we're ready to go at 1 o'clock. I mean, at 1:30, sorry. Do we have any other comments or anything that needs to be said? Our next meeting is the 21st of September. Okay, so if we don't have anything else, we stand adjourned.
Hi, everybody.
Bye.